Good morning or afternoon, depending on what part of the world that you're in right now. I'm in the afternoon. My name is Craig Hurst. I am the COO of the Net Effect, and I'm in Ontario. And with me today is Braden Barwick. Braden is well, I'll let him explain what his role is, but he's with a great Vancouver-based company called Sitemax. And the reason why we put this webinar together is that the Net Effect has recently entered into a much stronger relationship with Sitemax. We see a lot of good things in this application for the construction industry. I'm going to let Braden explain who its ideal customer is, so that you'll get a better picture of that. But certainly, we've been watching Sitemax as it's been growing in the Canadian and the international market, U.S. and Australia in particular, very nicely over the course of the last 3 to 4 years. And certainly one of the things that we like about it is that it's a solid performing construction application that is very, very user friendly. And for most of our clients at the Net Effect, user friendliness amongst your entire staff structure is an important criteria. So that's one of the reasons why we felt it was important to share Sitemax and what its capabilities are with you, our audience. Before I turn it over to Braden, I would like to encourage everybody to use the chat section within our. If you see across the ribbon on the bottom, the second cluster in the middle is called chat. It should have a red number 2 in it right now in front of you. And please use that to ask any questions that you might have of Braden or myself at any time during the presentation. So Braden, I'm going to throw it over to you.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me, Craig. Yeah, I'm excited to share a bit more about Sitenex today and yeah, chat more. Just as Craig mentioned, I'm coming from sunny White Rock today, so we're a Vancouver-based company. Most of our team is based in the Vancouver area, although we do have some in Ontario as well. But yeah, it's been amazing to partner with the Net Effect over the last couple of years here, and excited to share with you guys' audience a bit more about our system. So just to zoom out a little bit too, just to give a bit of the story of Sitemax and kind of even what we're trying to solve and what we're doing in the market. We were actually incubated originally. We partnered with a couple of general contractors here in the Vancouver area to solve some key problems that they were having, and that was the main thing was site to office communication. There was a lot of paperwork, there was a lot of emails, texting, that was just getting lost, and it was very cumbersome. So that was the original kind of inspiration of our idea. There was no simple software that really did all the field to office communication and streamline that in an easy to use way and flexible way for because every construction company has slightly different processes and different information that they cover. So that, fast forward all the way to now, yeah, we're again, like you mentioned, Craig, we're across 4 different countries, working internationally, growing very quickly, adding customers in all those different places, and growing our team and our product as we go as well. So just for everyone to know the people we serve and who we serve, because it is a bit specific. We work with commercial, multifamily, and light industrial and institutional general contractors is kind of our first vertical of people that we work with. So not custom home builders, not renos, anything like that. We're working with commercial and multifamily builders. The second kind of cohort that we work with as well that our software works very well for is subcontractors. So that's anyone from like electrical, mechanical, excavation, civil, roofing, even within there. Also will utilize our software for their field to office communications. And then we do also have another cohort which is the developer builder. So it's developers that also self-perform their building. So that's anywhere from like a small builder that's just doing 1 or 2 projects at a time, all the way to some of the largest builders we have in Canada that are also self-performing all their developments as well. So that's who we serve. And then just to get a little bit of an idea of where we fit in the market, because it's important as well to understand the landscape of software market. And basically what we find and why we're excited about what we're building and the problems we're solving is there's a huge gap. So there's basically the one-off softwares, which many of you may be familiar with. So, it's solving a point problem, like a time card problem, or, a safety problem, or photos, or drawings, or deficiency. So the industry's really been good at building those point programs, which are good. They were a really good way of kind of transitioning the industry into systems and softwares. But then once some companies, say you're a small company, you're growing, you use those to start. They're cheap, they're easy to use, but you need something a little bit more robust. But there's a huge gap in the market. So if you're kind of outgrowing the point solutions, you need something a little bit more robust and comprehensive. You have to make a massive jump to these enterprise softwares that will cost you an arm and a leg, and also are quite cumbersome to operate and maintain. You need admin and overhead staff. It takes a long time to onboard and implement. So that's where we come in. We kind of fill that missing middle, we call it, or that messy middle of the gap of maybe you're not ready for the large enterprise softwares, but you're definitely outgrowing paper and manual processes and point solutions. And what we do is we kind of blend those worlds and we bring it together.
I like the term messy middle.
Yeah.
We certainly experience that as well. So it's and they're in a tough position, right? They've outgrown paper and pencil and Excel, and they should be moving up into something much more complex as they're starting to manage bigger and more complicated institutional projects or industrial projects, particularly. But yes, they're really they're caught in between, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And I find too, as well, especially as we're finding, I mean, we work with companies in many different countries, but I find especially we've grown a lot in Canada because, sometimes these softwares are built for a slightly different process or have slightly different processes too in the US or in Australia or the UK. So also someone that's not going to be like, you have to fit into our system. We can bring a system that's moldable and adaptable to your processes too, which is helpful.
How well adaptable is Sitemax for a company that is engaged in utilizing BIM in their building exercise?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say we're set up necessarily to integrate it into, like, we don't have any modules that directly integrate BIM, for instance, into it. Ours, so what we focus on is basically there's the different kind of buckets of the, management process. There's pre-construction, there's construction management, there's financial management, and then there's like design kind of BIM. We focus just on the construction management. So BIM would still be outside. You'd be using, an Autodesk type product or something like that. So we don't integrate directly into there. That being said, that is something that we are like working on, and I can get into that later, even a bit of our vision of plugging in these different points as well, like us becoming really the central hub. And we're not going to build the next BIM, modeling or something, because those already exist and there's great options out there, but we're going to be able to plug that into a dashboard, into widgets, so you can actually share that within the Sitemax dashboard.
Right. And I think it's important for the audience to know that there is no silver bullet when it comes to construction software. Even the big names, not to be mentioned here, but they all require integrating with another type of software. If what you're looking at is digitizing the entire construction process through pre-con, through construction management, through estimating, through health and safety, there's no one application that does it all. So what you're talking about, Braden, is very, very expected, let's say, in construction technology. Okay, sorry. Please carry on.
Yeah, no, I think that's good to note. And I think that might be a good transition too, to even just share, okay, like what does Sitemax do? Like, what are the modules that are included? When you say construction management, what does that actually mean? So for us, we basically split ours into two different sides. It's kind of like field communication and document management. So the field communication tools are like task and calendar management. So, day-to-day tasks, assigning them to users with due dates and end dates, and attaching documents and photos to them. We do time tracking. So for your hourly employees, we can gather time cards. We can build time rules for overtime and everything like that, push it into your accounting or payroll software. And just to note on that, we can do that for people, materials, as well as equipment, all within one screen. We also do like photo and video management, custom site reporting. So that's anything from like daily site reports to QA, QC checklists. We have a quite robust customization and form builder within our software that we can build workflows through. We also have safety reporting and safety management. We do drawings, so drawing markups, sharing, pinning, anything within there. We do equipment tracking, so for your assets, knowing what assets are where, what job site they're on, when they need maintenance, who's been using them. We can track through your system. We do deficiencies as well through our punch list module, RFIs, change orders, POs, and then as well as submittal tracking. And then we also have just like general document storage as well. So you can build folder and file trees and sync it actually to your existing document management systems as well, just to have kind of centralization of information.
Right. Well, and that's a pretty comprehensive list when we're looking at,
Yeah.
focusing on high quality construction management processes. That's certainly a very comprehensive list. Can you take some time, perhaps, and can you screen share
Yeah,
Sitemax with our audience and let them have a little taste of what it looks like on their computer?
definitely. You guys can see that there.
Clear as a bell.
Perfect. Yeah. So I'll give kind of, again, we do live demos. Anyone on our sales team kind of walk you through this. So I'm not going to use this as like an in-depth demo, just because, I mean, obviously we'd focus on specific things to your specific company, what you're looking to access and use in Sitemax. But what I want you to get from this is just a visual, because I think an important part, and what Craig touched on earlier, is why Sitemax is set apart and why our customers use us and love us is it's easy to use. It's simple. It makes sense. It's intuitive, right? Not all softwares are built like that. Some softwares are built for accountants and then mixed into construction and stuff like that. So we've built it really from the core of like, what is the end user using? What makes the most sense logically in terms of like the flow of everything like that. So I kind of want to show you that here today. So what you're looking at right now is the desktop version of our software. So we have a desktop version, we have a mobile app, and we have a tablet app. I'll mostly focus on the desktop today, just for you guys from like more of an office perspective. But when you log in, this is what's called your active project dashboard. Each one of these tiles here represents a live project. So as you can see here, you've, project name, number, address, start and end date, who's assigned to the job. These indications are notifying you on real-time activities being completed on site, safety reports being uploaded or POs being issued or anything like that. So you kind of get a real-time data visualization onto each of your jobs in one dashboard. We also do like sort this dashboard into, you can have, your on deck or upcoming projects or your completed projects in your archive dashboard. So you can kind of organize your different projects into different views as well. I'll show you as well. So if you click into a job, we also have a dashboard for each project. So each project is going to have its own dashboard summarizing the activities that are being completed there as well. We have items like notice boards, so you can like have basically think of like a physical bulletin board, but a digitized version in here where you can post custom reminders to either your internal employees, or we have what's called site flow, where you can actually create QR codes that you can generate for your external subcontractors and vendors or consultants coming to site. So they don't have to download an app, they don't have to create a username, they can just walk up and scan a QR code and fill out the site orientation form or upload any documents they need to share or check in and check out. So we can do that all through like a QR code check in, check out function. We log the hourly weather in your job, so you have a historical record of that, summarizes any photos that were taken that day. You get a summary of your time cards, who checked in, when they get on site today, how many hours have they worked today, how many hours have they worked in the pay period or the week. Summary of any POs that were issued as well, so you can get kind of visualization on that. And then you can also see any site reports or safety reports filled out. So, who created it, when was it created? You can view the PDF of the forms here as well. Again, just so you get full visualization on all the information on your job site. And then within each project, you basically have all your different modules, which I mentioned before. So here is where you can toggle between any of them. If you want to view your calendar and your tasks within here, you can see those. If you want to go view your drawings, you can simply just click to your drawings, find your IFC set of drawings, can toggle and navigate to them very quickly. So it's very easy to access. You can see all the information in there. You can do all your markups. You can pin items onto the drawings. You can do RFIs or photos pinned onto there as well. And then a lot of our systems just work off dashboards. So, you get a dashboard for your RFIs. So it's, shows me all my overdue RFIs in the job and what's upcoming and what's overdue and who's a bond court user, what's it depending on next. So again, like I said, I'm not going to go crazy into depth into all of these. We do have videos online that you can kind of go into further depth with this. And like I said, our sales team is happy to walk through more of a customized demo with the system. But I hope that kind of gives people just a general idea of the layout and makeup of the software. I don't know if Craig, you had anything specific you wanted to see in addition to that, or if that's satisfactory for you.
Well, I'm going to ask some questions that will relate to this, and it might take you through to some other areas of the application. Talk to me a bit about what other construction applications you integrate with,
For
or
sure.
not necessarily construction, but what other applications do you have plugins or integrations for?
For sure. Yeah. So the most common that we work with and where we kind of started from was on the accounting side. So the Sage products, the QuickBooks products, the Viewpoint like Spectrum, Jonas, Eclipse. Some of these other common accounting softwares we do integrate with and have built compatibility with. We've also gone deep into the document management, so Dropbox, OneDrive, Google Drive, learning how to share information and connect there as well. So those are some of the common ones. And then some of the ones that are more, right now being tested with, handfuls of our customers are like smart sheets as well, integrating smart sheets into our system and what that looks like and how to utilize that. And this is just the beginning for us. Like we kind of built from the base of like what every company needs. And now we're kind of tackling each of those chunks as we go. So yeah, those are kind of the main ones though that we really integrate.
Okay, and then what about CRMs? Because what we're starting to see is more
Hmm.
construction companies are starting to integrate CRMs into their technology ecosystem.
Yeah.
We prefer not to call it a CRM. For those of you who aren't familiar with that term, that means customer relationship management.
Hmm.
Here at the Net Effect, we prefer to call it stakeholder relationship management because we help our clients build a system that's much more than just customers. We include your staff, we include your suppliers, we include municipal licensing bodies or whoever are important stakeholders within your business framework. So what
Hmm.
do you have any applications that you are working with or suggest in that area?
Hmm. Yeah, currently we don't integrate with any of the CRMs in the construction area because we found it interesting, and I'd be curious to hear what you think, Craig, too, on this. Is it's different for every industry, like every vertical, even within construction. Like the CRM process, is different for a large subcontractor than it is for a general contractor, and even within that, it's different for an industrial builder versus a institutional builder versus a commercial builder. So we found that's interesting. Of like we haven't noticed that there's been one or two that are like staples that we need to build partnership with and integrate into our product. The
Right.
way people have done most of it is we do have, I mean, it's not a CRM necessarily, but we do have contact and vendor management within our system because you're sending POs and you're sending change orders and RFIs and you're assigning people to projects.
Right.
So in that sense, people, we can just do mass importing from that. So we have an importer that you can kind of mass import from a database like a CRM.
Hmm.
But we haven't noticed that one or two front runners it's been a repeat ask. I think everyone kind of, I've noticed it's been segmented. It's like we use this or that or nothing. And so for us to build like a product, like to put the investment into a single product to integrate with, we would need to see enough critical mass either in the market or within our customers, especially.
Yeah, fairly stated. And you're absolutely right. There is no one size fits all in CRMs for the building industry as well. So
Hmm.
I totally appreciate what you're talking about, but we are finding more and more demand
Yeah.
for stakeholder relationship management tools as we go forward. One of the things that you've just touched on, Braden, is the issue of managing RFIs
Hmm.
and managing. Those of us who have been general contractors have been driven crazy most of our lives by sending out a request for a quotation to the three electrical contractors or two plumbers or
Hmm.
the framers, the drywallers, the HVAC people. A very complex part of managing the business of general contracting. What tools and systems within Sitemax are going to make that process more efficient?
For sure. Yeah. And I say this to people. I mean, it depends where you're coming from, but especially for anyone that's just manually tracked that RFI process, right? If you've manually tracked it, maybe you have an Excel sheet where you're tracking the RFI number and what's the last response, and then you're in your email. For those people, sometimes it feels like, well, I don't want to trust a system, a software to do that. What I always try and, iterate is that it's not changing anything in your system. It's just making the manual processes you do more efficient. So rather than sending the email and then going and marking up a dashboard and then wait, what's overdue and who needs to respond, I need to send a reminder. That's what Sitemax automates. So for us, like you spin up a RFI within Sitemax. It's templated. So that's also nice in terms of some companies struggle with, some PMs use this format, some use this format. Everyone's on a little different thing. It's a standardized format across your whole company. Everything's branded with your logo. It's got your company information on it. It's got a unique RFI number. So you don't have to, for each of the jobs, you don't have to worry about it being duplicated. So we take care of all those kind of manual things that you might have to think about. We also handle distribution. So when you actually submit an RFI, we do the distribution to all the recipients on the recipients list, which you're going to select from a drop-down list of your contacts within the job. So that's already going to be pre-uploaded. And then that sends out the email, and the recipient from that email, all they have to do is respond to that email. So they don't need to log into Sitemax. They don't need to go anywhere to do anything special. They're just seeing it as an email and they just respond. And what our system does then, which is nice from them, it's just an email. For us, it actually captures that information and transcribes it into the actual RFI document in Sitemax. It'll then update, your actual RFI. You'll have a new updated date. It'll have a thread with all the back and forth on it. And then in the background, we're also doing a CC response. So we're also distributing that through email. So you basically have two copies of that. You can go to your dashboard, you can see all the information. You can also manage it through your email, just like you always have as well. But it gives that peace of mind where you're not like, oh, wait, did I enter it there? Did I respond to that? Anything like that. And even simple things like we can put reminders on there, every 7 days it's overdue, it sends it, or every 3 days. So you can set that up in terms of like, okay, what's the frequency that we're pinging people when things are overdue? So think of it more as we're not changing the RFI process. The RFI process is a set process. We're just taking those small mental burdens off you, so you don't have to remember all the small little administrative things through that.
Right, and obviously the improvement in efficiency can be extended through to be able to say, you take that piece off of the project manager's mind or the estimator's mind, it gives them the ability to do more, do better, do something else other than worry about whether they dotted every I, crossed every T in an old manual process. In the same vein, what are you doing with respect? There's a couple of other things you talked about, punch lists. And well, one that I don't think you've mentioned, but I think it's similar probably to the same as the RFIs, and that's change orders and change requests. What are you doing to make those more efficient?
For sure. Yeah, I'll start with change orders and change requests. It's very similar to the RFIs. It's actually like the same engine on the background. It's that, again, it's templated. So it's a different template, obviously, than the RFI. It's change order specific with all that information to collect, but it's the same. You create it. It's a template for across the whole company. You distribute that out, collects responses. It can get approval. You can send it for signature all through our system. So again, it's kind of that centralization. You're not going between a folder and dragging it over and attaching it to an email and then taking the attached email and dragging it over somewhere. We're tracking all those threads of communication and keeping that central source of truth to the actual change order. And then on the deficiency side of things, on punch list tracking, we've done a big upgrade to it here in the last year, where there's a lot of flexibility you can do around it. So the ability to add phase codes, for instance, onto it. So you can have different phases, and on different phases, you can have different data points or information you can assign to a deficiency. Is it a warranty? Is it an extra? Is it a deficiency? Customizing locations. So you can actually like upload your locations for your project and say, yeah, unit 102 in the bathroom, right? And so you can actually categorize all your deficiencies within there. So then you can run reports. I want to see all my deficiencies for unit 102, or all my mechanical deficiencies on floor 2. So you can run reports like that and actually distribute them again directly out to your subtrades through our system. So you can send it either as an email or as a notification if you invite them into your actual Sitemax system. So it's very robust in terms of fitting to your process. Again, depending on what scale of company you are you a big developer, or are you a general contractor, are you a sub? So you can kind of customize it.
Right. And a couple of things that the industry is looking for in many, some are not, some are, make sure that it's not an industry-wide issue, but certainly such things as geolocation abilities within the mobile version of your application. And the other is visual photography or videography, being
Yep.
able to attach photos, videos, etc. What's
Yep.
Sitemax doing in that department?
For sure. Yeah. So we have that already existing. So with our time tracking, we have a geofence tracking capability. So when people on the check-in, check-out, we have a geofence around the job that you guys set, is it 500 meters to 10 kilometers? And then it basically verifies them being within the job site or outside the job site on their time card. So that's already built in there, which is obviously a very handy tool. The other one that's a bit more niche, and it's for certain clients as well, is even on signature. We can do signature, like geolocation coordinates on a signature of a safety form, which can be important as well. So, confirmation of where they are when they fill the form. So it has a date stamp, a geolocation stamp, and their signature onto it. So that's an important thing that we've incorporated into our system as well. And then in terms of like pinning photos and videos and everything like that, we have the ability to do that right onto drawings as well. So that's very commonly used, where you pin it right onto a drawing so that there's a collection of photos attached to a specific location.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no question right now that one of the big the hot topic, I don't even say it's one of them, but one of the hot topic in the construction technology space, and frankly in any business these days, is what are you doing with artificial intelligence and or machine learning? So maybe, and I know that in the construction technology field, there's some that were, on the leading edge. There's some companies, some of the technology companies were on the bleeding edge. But where does Sitemax sit in that spectrum? What are you doing to engage AI and machine learning into your systems?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I'll say this, like, and it'd be interesting if anyone wants to jump in the chat too to add their thoughts on this. I think it depends. I'll say this: if you have no software right now and no system, and you're asking the AI machine learning question, it's the wrong question to ask, because what we see is really important, and where Sitemax is in a very unique situation is you need data and information to make AI and machine learning useful. So I would say to the people that aren't using any systems and everything is between different systems or in paper or in PDFs, you need an actual system that has that information, like a Sitemax, to be able to read that and actually give you the value of what AI and machine learning is promising. And that's where it's going to come. It's not quite there yet, but it's going to come in the next few years, and you'll be left miles behind if you're not set up with a base of actually having a place to gather that information. In terms of Sitemax, the way we see it, so I mean, we're on the actually like on the AI side of things, we're actually building right now just like a basic chatbot. So you can plug into different AI tools and machine or large language model tools to actually just read your data points. So we're putting just little chats within each of our modules where you can ask it questions. How many time cards what's the total hours I've had on time cards so far within this pay period, or within this week, or on this job? How many overdue RFIs do I have? On my deficiencies, how many are assigned to this person? So all those things are already possible because we have the data points. Now you're just making it a speech to command, basically, to make it as easy as we can. So that's what we're doing on the management side. I think where the huge revolution is coming, and what we're going to be on the cutting edge of, is on the field side. It's still, to be honest, technology has still not, in construction, has not made the foreman and supervisor jobs significantly transformed. Not like the rest of the world. Like the rest of the world we've seen cars develop, we've seen phones and communication, everything's changed our lives. But for the site superintendent, I mean, yeah, sure, he's doing his paperwork on a phone instead of a piece of paper, but it's still the same piece of paper. It's still the same thing. Like his job hasn't been 10x in terms of his efficiency or whatever. Right. And I think that's where we see of like, how do we 10x the site super? Because those are the people building, those are the people that are going to be in demand for jobs in the upcoming decades. How do we make them more efficient? So we see that, like the way we're building it into the mobile app, as well as even just simple things like pattern recognition. Yesterday, you checked these 8 people into the job on this cost code at this time. Is that something you'd like to do again? So rather than him checking the same people in over and over again, it's like pattern recognition. Hey, usually you fill out your safety form at 8 a.m. It's 8:30. Why? You should probably do this by now. and he can either deny it or you say, no, I don't need to do it today or whatever. So those kinds of things. And then also reading doc specifications, making sure nothing's slipping through on specifications on a document or on a specifications document on a project. So to making sure that, nothing slips the cracks. And it's just, again, it's supporting that person. So they're not doing all those manual, looking through things line by line. It's just giving them, it's their assistant to really like 10x their productivity.
Mm-hmm. Interesting comment that you made about the foreman and the site supers, and yeah, we certainly see that. You analogized it to the building cars. Look what Tesla does, or look what whoever's building the latest and greatest electric vehicle is doing. But the fact is that you're right. Frontline people have had very little input in terms of what could be done from a digital transformation perspective that is going to improve their efficiencies. They're not given enough of an opportunity to say, hey, can I do this? And we're trying to see that we're trying to drive down technology to the front line of an organization so that they can, but softwares and the companies that the frontline people work for need to start to be a little more accommodating for those people that are out there at the job site working the day in and day out. I like the idea of using AI and or machine learning in terms of you did this yesterday. Do you want to do the same thing again today? And that to me is a good advance for sure. Then as AI and machine learning develop and start to infiltrate the construction industry, everybody, you talked about the messy middle a little while ago. The messy middle is going to learn how to use that that very valuable currency that they have, which is called data, to start to educate their systems, educate their processes, provided that software vendors like you are enabling that as well. So thanks.
And I think too, like, just to like for everyone to get a picture, like zooming out too of the industry, like the one-off apps will be left behind because it's siloed information. It's useless information if you have an app for this, an app for that, an app for that, and they don't talk to each other. Right. But then the other side, you're going to have these massive softwares where it's going to become so cumbersome to organize all this information. Like I think, and that's like, there is a need for the middle, almost like the heartbeat of a job site that plugs in. It plugs in everything. You can plug in your own AI, because one day people are going to be building their own apps. Like really, AI is going to be doing that. You're like, I just want an app that does this, and you can go get it. And it's going to be easy to spin up. Server costs are low nowadays. Like everyone's going to be doing that. But then you need a central hub that's like almost the neural network that everything's plugging into. And that's what Sitemax is going to be, where you're going to be plugging all these different things in the future into. So that's where you just need that base to start so that you're not starting from scratch in 8 years from now.
Yeah. Well, that's great. I think from a functional perspective, we have a very, very good understanding of where Sitemax is, where it fits into the construction industry. Just before we move on to a very important topic, and that is, what's the investment going to be like in Sitemax? Do you have any kind of, is there anything that you want to say that it doesn't do? I know that we asked you to think about that because quite often everybody walks away saying, oh, well, it's going to solve all my problems. Is there anything specifically? I mean, you've given us some ideas, but what does it not do that the audience needs to be aware of?
Yeah. So yeah, I always touch on that. I think it's important to know what something doesn't do as much as what it does do. So we don't do anything pre-construction. We don't do tendering. We don't do bidding within the system, and we don't do anything financial. So we don't do any invoicing. We don't do any progress billing. What else would be on there? Like even at this point, we're not necessarily like even your budget tracking necessarily. That's still, most of our companies would still do that within a financial software or accounting software. We collect information like a change order and a purchase order to push there, but still the source of truth, and it's always going to be is the accounting software. So those are the big things. And then like you mentioned, like we don't do anything BIM. There's softwares for that. We don't necessarily do that. We can play nice with them and be compatible, but it's not our thing. And same with CRM. I guess if you are looking for a CM, we don't do anything CRM focused. So think of us as like the documentation management of like a PM to a site super to its subs and back again. Anything that's happening there on an active job site is in Sitemax. Anything outside of that, you're probably doing a specific software to solve that problem.
Great. Okay. At the end of the day, the all-important question that most of our clients are going to ask and want to know about, how much is it going to cost me?
For sure. And the best answer to that is it depends. Yeah. But I think for any, yeah, yeah, no, I mean, it's definitely more specific than that. But I think for everyone to note, pricing, whenever you see pricing, always say associate to value. So we like, how is it associated to the value I'm getting out of the software? So for us, we price based on users per user. And then we have different plans. We have 3 different plans depending on the modules you use. So think of it. What value am I getting out of this plan if I had this many users? And so we found that users is the best way to track that, because if you have 4 more PMs, you're probably doing 4 times the jobs, So if you add another PM and you pay, for instance, on our power plan, $800 for the year, he's probably running 2 or 3 jobs. It's, X million dollars of money coming in. So, it's associated value for the added productivity. So that's how we track it. So we basically have 3 different pricing plans depending on the modules you want to access. And then underneath that, you basically have 3 types of users: full users, light users, collaborators. They have different access levels basically, and then different prices associated, ranging from on a per user basis, as I mentioned, $84 per user is our highest user price, down to $12 per user as well. And then we have collaborators, which is a big thing for the industry. So collaborators are view-only users, and they can enter in their own time cards. This is really important. So this is basically all your general labor, all your people in the field. So some people are like, I have 100 guys. Like, how am I ever going to pay for this? It's like, no. Probably 85% of your people are going to be collaborators. They're going to be viewing a drawing or a safety management thing, adding a signature and signing in their time card. And those are free users within there. So think of it, if you ever look at our pricing on our website or anything like that, you're looking to add users for your PMs, PCs, supervisors, foremen, whatever you have that with it, whatever type of company you are. Those are your paid users. Those are the people that are going to be power using it day in, day out. Everyone else is just a collaborator.
Thanks. And then once somebody has made that decision to move forward with Sitemax, what's the typical implementation process going to look like?
Yeah, so so before anyone signs a contract to start with Sitemax, we build a success plan. It's basically outlining the implementation process. This is helpful for both both Sitemax and the company we're working with, just to make sure we have aligned. Okay, what are you looking to get out of this, and what's your timeline? Is this all realistic? Are we on the same page with this? So we build that out. We split into 2 different phases. We do launching and ramping. Launching is usually your first priority modules. Okay, what do we need to do immediately? What's, maybe you have a software that's running out, you need to transition over or anything like that. So that's the first 4 to 6 weeks. Typically, you're picking about 3 to 4 modules, and you're getting your system set up and trained within 4 to 6 weeks. Then we go into ramping, which is like the subsequent 2 months, where you're adding additional modules, as well as just doing some more like general, additional training or Q&A, or, hey, we tried this form, but we need it tweaked because we need it to look like this a little bit. There's always those things. So that kind of happens from the ramping phase. So all in all, you'll be up and using the system in 4 to 6 weeks and confident in it. And you'll be adding continual learning on top of that, and like kind of hand-holding support for the first 3 months. And then you'll be more, on an as needed basis, reaching out to your customer success manager.
And is implementation a separate fee from the software side, or is that all included?
Correct. Yeah, correct. Yeah, we've different implementation packages depending on the involvement needed from Sitemax. So again, if you're a 5-person team and you're just doing time cards and a couple safety reports, that's a different package than if you're onboarding your whole project management and there's multiple people. So that ranges, and it's just a one-time fee. So basically just covers training session and the admin help and support to get a system set up.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, Braden, that's been an excellent opportunity for us to get a better look into Sitemax and what its capabilities and areas of specialty in terms of functionality are. I'd like to open it up in the last 5 minutes to the audience and find out if anyone has any questions. Very informative. Thank you. You're more than welcome, Rick Harris. Thank you very much. Who else anyone else have a question? All right. All right, so that I'm not seeing anything coming in. I'm seeing a lot of thank yous, which is tremendous. Oh, we do have one. Okay. How does the software cross over between operating systems, whether they be Apple, Mac, PC,
Yes.
Android, et cetera, et cetera? Is it cross-cultural, as we like to call that?
Yeah, no, that's a great question, Chris. Yes, it is. So we have an iOS app, Android app. So that's doesn't matter. It's the same app. It functions the exact same. It looks the same on both those phones or tablets. And then actually our desktop version. So anything you're going to be doing on computer is web-based. So it doesn't matter PC, Mac, whatever you're using. It's all going to be web-based. So it's going to be a unique URL for your company with a login, and that's going to access it. So you can access it from any computer, anywhere. For that. So hopefully that answers your question.
And Leslie is asking, what does the implementation look like on the site level? And you've gotten to, you cross the operating system issue, but maybe you can talk. Let's ask this question deliberately. Are there any restrictions at the site level in terms of the mobile applications? So whether it be tablet or phone.
Yeah, there's slight restrictions from a site level in terms of their access. Something like they can't create a submittal, which again, I don't think there'd be a situation where that would happen. They can't create a submittal. And I think for you guys to think about, and again, you can go to our YouTube or our website as well to kind of see the mobile perspective. It's the exact same function. It's just designed for more of an inputting process than a dashboard. On here we had the RFIs and we had the dashboards and we have all the data out, but obviously that's not going to fit on a phone screen. So we've optimized it to be a bit more user friendly, to be like just the key points, maybe the RFI number, the due date, and who's the Encore user, stuff like that. And then I think more, Leslie, what you're saying too about like, what does the implementation look like? Like, I think that's a big thing for a lot of people is like, how do I get my team to actually use it on a site level? Like my office is all in, they love it, they want to use it. How do you get people to actually, input information like a time card or a safety report or, input an RFI? We again, it's not a fun answer, but it kind of depends. But that's where we build that success plan with companies, right? Like we want to work with you of like, what do you see as best? Like some companies we work with, we bring everyone in for an hour training session in the boardroom. And we do a meeting and we say, here's how here's how you download the app. Here's how you log in. And then we all do it together and we just walk through it. So it's kind of troubleshooted together. Other companies, that's not possible. So we'll do it more asynchronous. We can build a document that's showing like a step-by-step of how to actually log in, how to do it. We can do that either in video or in text format. We do have a huge resource library as well that people can access, like we have a support that they can chat with and say, how do I do this? Where do I go for this within there? So again, it does depend a little bit. But I think the largest thing that you can do that we see for like site buy-in and field buy-in is it has to be top down. There has to be buy-in from the whole company, top down. Otherwise, if it feels like it's just dumped onto the site level at the end and just like, oh yeah, some guy somewhere decided that we're going to use it and you got to change your whole life now. They'll hate it from the beginning and they'll just put their heels in the mud. And that's really hard for our team too, because like,
and that's
they're
where
just always fighting back. Yeah.
That's where effective change management comes in,
Yes.
and that's the role that we play at the Net Effect in helping that happen. Okay, in the 30 seconds I have left, I just want to say thank you very much, Braden. This has been an excellent presentation. I'm sure our audience is taking away a lot of good information about Sitemax. And if anybody is interested in organizing a demonstration of Sitemax, you can do so by going to our website, searching on our website through our partners and clicking through, and Sitemax will be happy to arrange that for you. Okay, everyone. Have a great afternoon, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Take care.
Thanks.